And I remember landing in this poppy field, like stepping off the ramp, and like I could hear gunfire. Like it was already on, right, on target. And so I got my little Afghan commando troopers. So like, okay, man, let's go. And like I remember running up this hill, and I was aware in that moment, like, okay, this is odd. That this is, the cliche of like running to the gunfire. And I believe me, I don't consider myself like a heroic person at all. It wasn't even a conscious decision. I was doing it, and it was like I was trying to get there as quickly as I could. And it did occur to me, like, yeah, this is kind of weird, you know.
But it is your training, and it also is your purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know which supervenes on what, but yeah, for sure.
How bizarre was it, the whole poppy fields thing? Because I remember one of the most interesting aspects of the war was that we were protecting poppy fields. And there was this weird video, I don't know if you've ever seen it, of Geraldo Rivera, who was on Fox News, spinning this in some sort of a way, but realizing how ridiculous it sounded while he was interviewing a general who was on the field, or I don't remember, it was a general soldier who was on the field, who was explaining why they were doing this, that they were guarding the poppy fields so that these people could keep making heroin.
Mm-hmm.
And you're looking at this, and especially someone who has a knowledge of Vietnam, that it was intimately connected with drug running, and that there was a lot of that going on. That was part of the purpose of it, and that somewhere someone was profiting off of this to the tune of billions of dollars. Mm-hmm. And you're not exactly sure how it was being done or what involvement the United States military had in it. But in this particular instance, you're living in the era of social media and the internet. Not necessarily social media, but at least the internet, where people are very aware of things like that are at the very least inconsistent with the narrative that we have here in America, that drugs are bad people sell drugs, bad people make drugs, we have to stop the drugs from getting into the country. Now here you are, we're watching Geraldo Rivera, a Fox reporter, putting this like really clunky spin on why we have to do this. And I can only imagine it's because it had already been exposed that the United States was doing that, and they had to say, well, we have to come up with some sort of an excuse for why we're guarding heroin production.
So I guess my understanding of if the U.S. mill was doing that is probably like a secondary consideration, because like at least down south, like that's a huge part of the economy. Mm-hmm. It's like opium production.
Yeah. And
I would guess it would be eradicating like the poppy fields would be a worse choice, like economically destabilizing, like these people who are already super poor.
Mm-hmm. But it's also for sure aiding in the profit of selling heroin.
Oh, I mean the Taliban would make money from opium production, even though it's against Islam or whatever. It's it was. I don't know how to crack that nut.
Was that talked about over there?
Yeah, I mean, like I know DEA was over there doing their thing.
What were they doing? Selling it?
I don't know. Like,
well, that's what's so strange is that it seems like, especially when you have this disconnection from the mainstream media and from channels of information getting to other people, that this is a part of what's happening over there. That I believe at one point in time it was 90+% of the world's heroin.
Yeah,
was coming from Afghanistan.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have an answer.
Bizarre though, right?
Yeah.
Did you think how bizarre it was or was just that was inconsequential? That was not.
Yeah, it wasn't like another poppy field. Like it was just part of the landscape, But I probably didn't put much thought into it.
How did they cultivate I mean, they were doing all this in the middle of combat, in the middle of war. Like, how were they handling all that?
I mean, like in my experience, like if we did hit a target that was like in a remote place like that, like they weren't seeing coalition forces often, if at all. It's kind of like they probably thought they were in a safe haven. So. I mean, I think when you get closer to the built up areas, and at least at the time, I mean, like the whole Afghan government was so corrupt anyway. So I think probably the main people making money were, Afghan generals.
Mm.
Which I think at one time the Afghan army had like 3,000 general officers or something. They had like this inverted pyramid of leadership. Like, oh, I'm a general, and they all have mansions and it's all corruption money. And yeah.
How weird was that? Being a part, like that's the side that you were on. I mean, you're over there sort of helping.
Yeah, like I think you just gotta focus on the tribe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like you and your dudes, and you have this task, and you're gonna accomplish it to the best of your ability, and bring everyone back alive. And then the political side of it, I mean, yeah, it'd be easy to get kind of demoralized.
Yeah, that's what I'm at.
If you focus on that.
Yeah. Was it bizarre for you, as someone who has done heroin, to think like, oh, this is where it comes from?
I mean, I think I was conscious of that, but like it wasn't that crazy. It's like,
So even though you knew that there's rampant corruption and that there's a lot of things that were kind of fucked, it was still your tribe, your task.
Yep.
Did you spend any time pondering, like whether or not that made sense, or did you just do what you were supposed to do?
Yeah, I think I reflected on it and then would just do it.
Did anybody talk about it over there?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, and I would talk about it too. Like as the war progressed, you would see these mansions being built around Kabul and stuff. These ridiculous like concrete mansions, and like that's our tax dollars are paying for that mansion. Or it's corruption money, or it's opium money, or whatever. And it's just part of the culture there. Like how do you fix that? It's like I remember talking to one of our interpreters over there, and like, so I'm not married, don't have a family, and so obviously everything over there is very family oriented, or family tribe. That everything's geared towards like blood relations and things like that, and the stronger and larger your family is, the stronger your tribe is. Like that whole thing, it's like a different paradigm than we have in the West. And so we're just bullshitting,